Well, hi, good morning, and thank you so much for joining me in my shop here. Today is October 12th, and another fall-like, cold, gray day, wet. Poor cats, so sad. But they're outside, actually. They're actually outside right now. In the cold, it's 4 degrees here this morning. I think the high today is going to be 11 degrees, so. But that's pretty typical weather for October here. Okay, so yesterday I extracted this fantastic looking coil, and now it's time to do some work on some stuff that's been exposed. And I think the first thing I want to go after is the first thing I was going after. That's these wires here, this yellow wire and this black one. So yellow wire, actually I can pull through here, I think. Now we're back to the it seems to be taped up against this black wire for reasons I don't know. And these two guys don't want to come out. Again, for reasons I don't get. Maybe this black wire is still soldered in over here. I've never actually released it. Let's take a close look down in here and just be sure of what wire is what. So you can see the black wire, yellow wire, and then there's a cloth, a large cloth wire. That's actually a shielded wire, the large cloth one. So sure looks like the black wire is soldered to that connection. Let me wiggle the wire. Yeah, and you can see now the yellow wire and the black wire taped together. Just in behind there. So what we'll do is we're going to cut this black wire out of here, straight down on the bottom. So this is the wire terminal. This one up here is the capacitor terminal. I don't want to get them mixed up. Okay, let's try that and see if we can now pull these wires out. Still taped together, so I'm going to have to cut them. Should come now. There we go. Yeah, there they are, taped together. Okay, yellow one and the black one with a capacitor here. Let's just take a look. It's coming right off the antenna connection. It's got to be that one right there. Can you read that for me? That's a that looks like 120 picofarads. Can't be sure. Someone's phoning me. Who's phoning me? It's Mr. Google calling me. Okay. Let's carry on here. So I'm going to look on the schematic on the computer here. Okay, so this is the capacitor down here. Let's take a close look at what it says. It would look like 1120, which is kind of a weird number. When it's written, it just looks a little weird. 1120. Well, I have another copy of the schematic. Looks like exactly the same thing. 1120. Well, I don't have an 1120 capacitor. Let's look at the color code on the capacitor itself. So I'm not so good at reading these codes because I don't think they're the same all the time. But it looks like there's a space for 3 colors to go on. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colors painted onto it. Made in Canada. Why don't we read? Let's read this. Let's read the value of this. That's a good idea. Good chance it's still right on. $11.82. Well, that's just about exactly what's on the sheet. So we're going to maintain this capacitor because there's nothing wrong with it. It's made it this far, it's going to make it all the way. Good. Okay. Now, they have a short piece of wire here. Is there a reason why didn't they just solder this right onto the terminal? Why would they bother with a short piece of wire here? Looks like the lead is soldered right here, close to the capacitor. Why would they do that? Is that something I have to do? Is there some reason they wanted this piece of wire here? I can't imagine that. Or I'm mistaken. And this is actually the lead. This little ball of solder here is, I don't know what that would be. And this is tape here. So I don't think vinyl tape existed back in the day when this radio was made. This has got to have been added on. This feels like friction tape here. Yeah, this is friction tape. This is an insulated wire. This is a sleeve. So I'm guessing there's a solder job right under here. It's like a bad guess. Oh yeah, there it is. The reason I'm hesitating is because I'm trying to decide, what do I have to do this little piece of wire here for some reason I can't fathom, or just solder this right up on here. they want to give a little piece of wire because they know this terminal's gonna wiggle. No, it's not supposed to wiggle. It's come loose over the years. So they wouldn't be anticipating this wiggling. Then they wouldn't want to put the capacitor right up against it for reasons that still don't really make sense. Well, I don't know. Spend all day. Small stuff here. Small stuff. Now, usually you would think quite the opposite, that they would want to shorten any wires that are possible to be shortened. Yeah, I don't know. I'm making a big deal out of nothing, probably. And are they taped together for some reason? I think they were taped together because they were easy to push together when the radio was being assembled. You push the two of them together through the hole there. Probably fiddling the wires through that hole was a bit of a hassle. And this is how they solved it. They just tape these two wires together before pushing them through. I can't imagine there's any valid reason for taping them together. Now there is a capacitor over here that needs to be installed. That can wait. It doesn't have to go now. And that was about it, wasn't it? A resistor. To put a resistor in. That can also wait. So I can do these wires first. Okay. Yellow wire. I'm going to lay in the yellow wire and a black wire and go from there. Okay, got myself in a little bit of trouble here because I'm having trouble now remembering where all the leads go in here, and it's not on any of the diagrams how this is wired properly. But I'm sure I'll sort that out. But in the meantime, you recall I removed two of these capacitors here, which were tied to the power cord. Power where the power comes in and went down to the chassis over here. These are 0.02 capacitors. Here, have a look at what I found on the schematic. So on the schematic they don't appear, but they do. They do down here, right here. On later production also, two line filter condensers, 0.02 microfarads, were added. One from each side of the line transformer primary to ground. That's exactly what I've removed. So I will undoubtedly install these back in down the road. Now that they're actually declared quite clearly on the schematic, just not shown on the diagram. There's another note here. R2 was 1 meg on early production. And I don't know if we have to worry about that. R1. So one I've actually removed right now. And does anybody see R2, just for interest's sake? R4, R3. You've got to be right around here somewhere. Well, I'm not going to worry about it for now. R3. Yeah, they've hidden R2 on me somewhere. And I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, but that settles those two capacitors anyhow. I thought the news would come in somewhere in the process here, and it has. Okay, back to the wire I'm working on. Okay, I've got the two wires in. I've installed the capacitor down there, not the resistor yet though. And here's what I'm fiddling with now. So you're going to hook up an antenna here, and while you do, you're shaking this capacitor around. Question is this going to shake around enough to eventually contact something? I've got a sleeve here I can shrink right on there like that. That'll be fine. It's this connection over here. Can't imagine it's going to go anywhere. Don't like it being loose like that, but so can we tighten this up? Offhand, I say no. Let's take a close look at how this is done. How this is not supposed to be shaky or loose. think what we're going to see is it's just about inevitable that it'll come loose. So we have one that's still intact, this is nice and solid, and one that's all loose. As you can see, this one's been rotated. See the little tab where my fingernail is? See where the tab is on this one? So this fitting has been rotated here. Now it probably and then there's little teeth that go through. Let's look on this side here. So this is the good one. There's really not much to these. I doubt there's anything I can do. The problem here is it may completely come free. Oh, look at that cracked wire there. Hey. Where did that come from? Oh, nice green cracked wire going through here. Okay, we'll worry about that down the road. Oh, great. So what are the chances of that happening? So if this came completely free, it would eventually short on the chassis and then you'd have antenna trouble. And every time you tighten it up, you kind of work it a bit. You know, attaching your antenna and disconnecting it. It's not the greatest looking solder job there either. I can fix that. How close is this to coming out? Sure feels close. What's stopping it from coming out? Nothing really. If I pulled hard enough, this would pop right out right now. I could kind of cover this in some shrink sleeve. That's not going to make it rigid, but it'll stop the short. Like I could push this shrink sleeve up over it after I resolder it. It feels like I need a bigger shrink sleeve. So the other terminal is a ground terminal. You can see the connection right to the chassis there. Checking my solder job from earlier. What I thought for a minute was I could swap these screws around to make this the antenna screw, but a big hassle there. You could throw epoxy all over this, as long as the screw can turn. That's a possibility. Just epoxy it up. Stop the movement. It's not too bad an idea. These screws usually won't come right out. Oop. Well, so much for usual. Now, you know, I could do that. I could epoxy this in place. There, it's kind of snapped in where it wants to be. Worth doing. Well, epoxy's not a big deal. No, epoxy, no big deal. When I'm going to mix up some epoxy, I need a surface. And what I use my old business cards, of which I have many, many. So I grabbed this one randomly. I try to cover his name here so you won't see it. Electrical Safety Authority. This is an Ontario organization, government organization that sets the safety standards for electricity. Peter A. somebody, Master of Engineering, Professional Engineer, Vice President and Chief Engineer. Oh, he's got lots of titles. Electrical Safety Authority. To purchase the Ontario Electrical Safety Code or bulletins, call order line at that number or go to this website. Well, you're going to get glue on you, and then you're going in the garbage after that. So you've met your end. I'm sure the gentleman there is retired like me. Okay, come on now. Here we go. Whoa. Now what I should be doing, if I was smart, I would keep a piece of paper with all the glue projects on it that I know I need to do. And each time I mix up this glue, I would then do those projects. What's that hanging off there? But of course, I don't have such a list. So now I gotta think. Well, this is going to be a problem. I put it backwards twice. Oh boy, that's going to be stuck on there pretty good. Okay. Look at how much I've got there. What else needs gluing? I need to think hard now. Think hard. I don't know. Okay. Now how strong this will be ultimately depends how well I can get this glue. I don't want to glue the threads, of course. And anybody who's going to be working this thing, get a little rough with it, I'm sure it'll break free of the glue here. Okay, no glue on the threads. That's good. I'm better off I leave this in. And I'm going to leave this all alone for, I think this is 10-minute glue. Completely hardens in 24 hours. So it's 24-hour glue. 5-minute epoxy, but somewhere on there it'll say achieves full hardness after 24 hours. Okay, we're going to leave that like that, and I'm going to go have a little break while the glue solidifies there. Wonder what happens if you hit that with a soldering iron now. Would produce some kind of dangerous toxic gas. I don't know. Okay, it's easily been more than 10 minutes, so this is how I judge epoxy, how stiff it's become. I don't want to, test the work itself because you're going to loosen it up. So I test it here. Oh, that's really that's good. Okay, it's still flexible though. Okay, now what I'm going to do next is deal with the resistor that goes in over here, 100,000 ohm resistor. Okay, I'll put that in. Just nip off this little extra wire here. There we go. Okay, so what I've done today is I've replaced two long wires here, one of them being the antenna wire, yellow wire of some sort, capacitor, resistor, and what's next is installing the coil, but I'm not going to do that today because it's gotten a little late in the morning already. We have lots of other things to do. I'll work on that tomorrow. So the challenge with this kind of repair is that with this part out, there's no hope of operating the radio and seeing how you're doing. So unfortunately, if I've made a mistake, and I've done my best not to make a mistake, but if I have, I won't find out until I put this coil back in, and then it will be a very disappointing situation should that occur. So hopefully that won't occur. And good. Not bad. Just got this bundled up cracked wire cable here to do, and then I spotted one more down in here, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's another one or two running around. Here's one right here. Oh, no, that's part of the bundle. But I'm almost done the wires. Wow, very good. Okay, well, I'm off to enjoy the rest of my day. I hope you do too. See ya.